Chapter 8, Naomi E. I love Saturday mornings. There is nothing better. Dad and I both slept late, and now we're almost melting into the 2 soft blue couches with all the big pillows. We are really talented at being lazy. Today is already feeling exactly right, and I really needed something to be exactly right. That whole waste of a day off last Wednesday with Valerie and the other Naomi and her sister was the kind of big, shiny, awful disaster that even my dad can't ignore. I'm pretty sure he won't be forcing me to spend time with anyone else named Naomi anytime soon. Plus, the very perfect Ms. Gomez didn't give us homework because we were awesomely great all week and no one failed the geography test. Way to go, Luigi! I'm enjoying the way Dad and I are award-winning at being lazy, reading, and thinking about how we'll head over to Morningstar later. The hardest thing I'm going to have to do today will be to decide between a croissant and a bagel. Poor me! But I'm also waiting for it to be noon, because that's the time every Saturday that Mom and I are both free to Skype as long as we want. Also, Wednesday afternoon, she can hear about my week so far and what's still coming up. But then we always end up talking other times too, because twice isn't enough, not even close enough. Which is why it makes me absolutely no sense when Dad stands up and announces, "We've got to get going," at 10:30. I'm in my pajamas. I want to keep reading. I don't even look up. Go where? Dad's in motion the way he gets when he has to be somewhere by a certain time, moving things from here to there in a way that reminds me of a robot. Keys next to the door, jacket on hook, bowls in the kitchen sink. "The why," he says. "Why?" "The why, yeah," he says. Ugh, this is his favorite kind of joke, and it could go on forever, but I am not at all in the mood because I want to sit in my pajamas until noon and then talk to my mom and then find my way with Dad to Morningstar for croissants or bagels. "Get dressed, and I'll explain on the way," Dad says. He stacks sections of the New York Times neatly on the kitchen counter, pushes in chairs at the table. "What am I getting dressed for? Did I forget someone's party?" I've only been to the Y for birthday parties, usually swimming parties. I can't even think about the Y without feeling that sharp chlorine smell sting in my nose that always makes me feel sick, really sick. "No party," Dad says. "I'll explain as we walk, but we need to get going. We'll stop by Morningstar on the way home." "But when are we going to be back?" I ask, heading toward my room. "I need to be home at noon to talk to Mom." "Do you need a sweatshirt? Don't forget your sweatshirt," Dad says. After I get dressed and washed up, we hurry out the door. "You'll have to talk to your mom later. We'll text her." I'm feeling a little stompy about being dragged from my house until we step outside. Our neighborhood looks like the opposite of our lazy indoors Saturday. Everyone seems to be busy doing stuff. Mr. and Mrs. Braw are pulling twigs and weeds out of the garden bed in front of their house. 2 guys from the cable company are having a hard time parking at the corner. My old babysitter Jenna waves as she runs by with 2 pony-sized brown and white dogs. "You know what's really cool?" Dad asks out of nowhere. I keep my mouth shut because my dad is awesome. He is the best. He is kind and great at coming up with ideas for school projects, and he pretty much lets me eat whatever I want. But my dad and cool, I am pretty sure, have never met. When he gets tired of waiting, he answers his own question. "Coding is cool." The timing is perfect, because at that exact second, Bobby Leonardo's father passes us, racing downhill on the sidewalk. On a skateboard. Bobby Leonardo's father is always on a skateboard, and it never once isn't funny, because it is the most uncool thing that could exist in the world, this old guy on a skateboard. He's good at it, I guess, but it's a fact that someone his age should not be on a skateboard. It makes my father seem maybe a tiny bit less uncool for like a second by comparison. But wait, coding? Dad waves to Annie's next-door neighbor as we walk past their house. No one's home at Annie's. They're a very soccer-y family, almost always traveling for weekend games. I remember something about codes, kind of. How Annie and I used to write each other notes in this invisible ink we got at the school book fair. But it was invisible. We couldn't see a word. It wasn't that interesting. "Why are you talking about codes?" I asked. We're still 2 blocks from the Y when the sun hides behind a giant cloud. I'm glad I grabbed my sweatshirt. It gets cold fast. "That's a really cool sounding new club at the Y that I thought would be a lot of fun for you. Since when does Dad think up ideas for me? The only reason he enrolled me in zoo camp last summer was because I begged all year. I had pictured myself as assistant zookeeper, not as someone who would walk around the zoo day after day with a big group of hot and sweaty kids. All week they talked about how on Friday we get to see where the monkeys sleep. I imagined something very secret and peaceful, a place where monkeys tuck themselves into beautiful, lush trees. It turned out to be a room. The monkeys sleep in a room. I learned my lesson. I don't need clubs or camps or anything to have fun. But I don't really care about codes, like, at all, I say. It's not codes exactly, Dad says. It's like games, computer codes, stuff like that. We pass the bank, which has a sign that says it's 56 degrees and 10:48 a.m. It feels colder and earlier. Dad starts walking faster like he's racing towards something. It's called Girls Gaming the System. Have I mentioned that all I want to do is go to Morningstar and eat a croissant or a bagel? When we reach the street that all the little kids call Scary Boulevard, we stop and wait for the always takes forever light to change. I'm about to make one more attempt to wiggle out of this when Dad says, I know I'm repeating myself, Naomi, but this is a street only crossed when you're with an adult. I'm 10, I say miserably, because 10 means something so different to me than it does to him. He's not listening anyway. This club is all about providing opportunities, Dad said. It meets Saturday mornings. You'll get to meet new people, make some new friends, and learn a really useful skill. What? This isn't how Dad talks, but I don't even know where to start. Saturdays are supposed to be lazy, and when am I going to talk to Mom? And I don't need new friends. Okay, I'll tell you what, Dad says, smiling at me. When I pick you up, we'll go to the bakery. He holds open the door for me to walk into the Y, and that icky chlorine smell pounces before I can even think to hold my nose. Dad's looking at a form in his hand, then up at the signs on the wall, and I start walking too fast because I need to find the bathroom. I think I'm going to be sick.